Cowboy on Horseback, 1880. In the 1880s American frontier, cowboys were a vital part of the cattle industry. They endured harsh conditions while herding cattle long distances. Their iconic image, rugged and free, has captured imaginations for generations. A typical cowboy wore sturdy clothing for the elements and rode a strong, agile horse. Their gear included a saddle, supplies, and a rope for wrangling cattle, sometimes with a revolver for protection. These skilled riders and marksmen also shared a strong sense of camaraderie under the vast, starry sky. Frankie Webner, 1861. A photo exists of Frankie Webner, supposedly from 1861, claiming he was a Pony Express rider. The Pony Express operated from 1860 to 1861, and its riders were known for their toughness. Webner as a rider. Despite the uncertainty surrounding Webner, the image still serves as a reminder of the Pony Express riders and their daring role in communication during the Wild West. First Grizzly, killed by General Custer and Colas Ludlow. It is a black and white photograph that depicts a group of U.S. soldiers posing with a dead grizzly bear. The image is believed to have been taken during General Custer's 1874 expedition into the Black Hills of South Dakota. The expedition was controversial, as it violated the Treaty of Fort Laramie, 1868, which guaranteed the Black Hills to the Lakota Sioux people. Custer's expedition helped to ignite tensions between the U.S. government and the Lakota Sioux, which would ultimately culminate in the Great Sioux War of 1876. Trinidad Co Saloon, 1880. Trinidad's 1880s boom brought a surge of saloons to the town. These saloons likely had the usual features like a long bar, gambling tables, and a rough-and-tumble atmosphere. However, Trinidad also had a touch of class, with some saloons like the Columbian Hotel boasting fancy pressed tin ceilings and woodwork. The clientele was a mix of cowboys, miners, and the significant Hispanic population, enjoying drinks, music, and games in these lively establishments. With Trinidad's reputation as a Wild West town, these saloons likely saw their share of both good times and trouble. Black Cowboys, 1880. African Americans played a significant role in the taming of the Wild West during the 1880s. Often called black cowboys or cattlemen, they comprised roughly 10% of the cowboys on the western ranges. These cowboys faced discrimination and prejudice, but they were nonetheless skilled horsemen and ranch hands who helped shape the American West. Frontier Schoolhouse, 1890. Frontier schools in the 1890s were one-room wooden buildings where students of all ages learned basic reading, writing, and arithmetic. Despite limited resources, these schools, built and maintained by the community, provided a vital education for children on the American frontier. The often young female teachers played a key role in shaping the lives of these students. Sweetwater County Jail. The Sweetwater County Jail, located on Grant Street in South Pass City, Fremont County, Wyoming, is a well-preserved example of an 1870s frontier jail. Built in 1870 and completed by Sweetwater County, Wyoming Territory, the jail continued to be used after Fremont County was established and until Wyoming became a state in 1890. In the 1880s, the front room was even used as a temporary schoolhouse after the first schoolhouse burned down. Today, the Sweetwater County Jail is part of the South Pass Historical Preserve and is a reminder of the Wild West history of the region. Chirawa Apache Scouts, 1885. The Chirawa Apache Scouts were a vital part of the United States Army during the Apache Wars of the 1870s and 1880s. These scouts, often referred to as Indian Scouts, were recruited from the Chirawa Apache tribe, a group known for their exceptional tracking and fighting skills. The Chirawa Apache Scouts played a key role in helping the U.S. Army track down and defeat Apache raiding parties. Their knowledge of the Apache language, customs, and terrain made them invaluable assets in the harsh and unforgiving environment of the Southwest. Sitting Bull and Buffalo Bill, 1885. This famous photograph depicts Sitting Bull, a Hunkpapa Lakota Sioux chief, and William Frederick Cody, better known as Buffalo Bill, a famous frontiersman and showman. The image was taken in Montreal, Canada in August 1885 by William Notman and Son, while Sitting Bull was participating in Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. The encounter between these two iconic figures of the American West is a complex one. Sitting Bull had recently surrendered after leading his people in resistance against the U.S. government in the Great Sioux War of 1876. Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, while celebrating the culture of the American West, often portrayed Native Americans inaccurately and stereotypically. Mormon Pioneers 1860. The Mormon Pioneers were members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who migrated westward to the Salt Lake Valley in Utah during the 1840s and 1850s. They faced many challenges on their journey, including harsh weather, disease, and attacks from Native Americans. However, they persevered and established a new home in the desert. The Mormon Trail is the route that many of the Mormon pioneers took on their westward migration. The trail stretched for about 1,300 miles from Nauvoo, Illinois to Salt Lake City, Utah. The journey typically took about 4 to 6 months. Texas Rangers 1880. Patrolling the vast and often lawless expanses of Texas in the 1880s, the Texas Rangers were a hardy band of frontiersmen tasked with bringing order to the Wild West. A relatively small force, with only a few hundred rangers at most, they were recruited from a diverse pool of cowboys, soldiers, and other frontiersmen. These men needed to be tough and resourceful, capable of surviving the harsh conditions and navigating the unforgiving wilderness on their own. Their duties were wide-ranging, from tracking down outlaws and protecting settlers from Native American raids to enforcing the law on a sometimes chaotic frontier. Buffalo Bill Cody, 1880. William Frederick Cody, better known as Buffalo Bill Cody, was a famous American scout, bison hunter, entrepreneur, and showman. This photograph by Neroni, circa 1880, captures Buffalo Bill in his prime. Buffalo Bill Cody played a significant role in shaping the popular image of the American West. His Wild West show, which toured North America and Europe for 3 decades, portrayed a romanticized version of frontier life, complete with cowboys, Native Americans, and staged gunfights. While criticized for its historical inaccuracies, the show was a huge success and helped to popularize the Wild West myth. Western Land Rush, 1889. While capturing the frenetic energy of the original event proved difficult with the technology of the time, there are known photographs of the exact moment the 1889 land rush began. The land rush was the first opportunity to claim land in the unassigned lands of the former Indian Territory. An estimated 50,000 people raced to stake their claim on the 2 million acres of available land, making it a chaotic scene. Many participants were homesteaders seeking a new life in the West. This event jump-started the settlement of Oklahoma and the rise of cities like Oklahoma City and Guthrie. Rodeo Performers, 1890. In the 1890s, rodeos weren't professional events, but competitions among cowboys showcasing their ranching skills, like bronc riding and steer wrestling. These events were social gatherings with cowboys celebrating and competing. There are few documented stars, but Buck Taylor and Bill Pickett are some names from this era. These early rodeos paved the way for today's professional rodeo scene. Mexican cowboys washing up after Roundup. The image shows Mexican cowboys, or vaqueros, cleaning up after a cattle roundup near Marfa, Texas in the 1870s. These skilled horsemen were essential to ranching, managing herds, branding cattle, and driving them long distances. Their practical clothing with wide-brimmed hats, leather jackets, and chaps protected them from the harsh environment. Their expertise with horses, ropes, and animal care laid the groundwork for the iconic American cowboy. Telegraph Operators 1860. These depictions showcase telegraph operators seated at their workstations, diligently translating electrical pulses into messages and vice versa. The equipment surrounding them, large wooden telegraph keys, receivers with spools of paper tape, and maybe even a rudimentary headset, helps paint a vivid picture of their working environment. These illustrations serve as valuable historical documents that bring the telegraph operator's role in the 1860s to life. Covered Wagon 1865. There is actually a famous photograph from 1865 that depicts a covered wagon used in a Civil War military camp for headquarters baggage and saddlery. This photograph, taken by photographer Andrew J. Russell, shows a standard canvas-topped covered wagon used by the Union Army. The inscription on the side reads, "Headquarters Baggage and Saddlery." This wagon would have carried essential supplies for the military headquarters, likely including tents, maps, writing supplies, and other administrative materials. Saddlery refers to the equipment for horses, so this wagon likely also transported saddles, bridles, and other horse-related gear. Homestead Act Claimants, 1862. This image shows a typical homesteader family, likely shortly after arriving on their claimed land. Their clothing suggests a modest lifestyle, and their surroundings are sparse. We can see a small tent for shelter and a few basic supplies. The vast open land behind them represents the challenge and opportunity that awaited them. Gatling Gun, 1870. The Gatling gun, invented in 1861, became famous in the 1870s. Though photos weren't common then, illustrations captured its key features: multiple barrels for continuous fire, a hand crank to operate it, and a hopper for faster reloading. This innovative weapon offered a big advantage in wars of the 1870s. Buffalo Bill's Wild West Show, 1893. While there might not be a widely circulated photograph of Buffalo Bill himself at the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition, there are images that capture the essence of the event and Buffalo Bill's involvement. Here's one such image depicting Buffalo Bill at the exposition. Buffalo Bill's Wild West Show was a major attraction at the World's Fair, even though it was located just outside the official fairgrounds. The show proved to be a huge success, drawing in even larger crowds than the exposition itself.